Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I just want to say welcome. Thank you for joining me today, and I'm going to be working on this glove box, and it's meant for a 66 VW Bug. As you can see here, a couple pieces are kind of broken off. There's one that goes supposed to go there, and then this guy inside of here, I believe he goes on the side here. There's a huge chunk taken out here, so let me get some stuff together and we'll go right through it. Okay, let's do an overview. Let's get these pieces out of here, out of the way. I won't be using these again, but let's get an overview. Let's take a look at the top here. It's got a little bit of a banged up here. It's kind of going in. You can see it on the inside here. It's kind of damaged. So I got to strengthen that area there. And then on the top and then on the side here, as you know, this all needs to be fixed here. Back here is not too bad. It has like a little hole here. We'll fill that in. This is from the strap that's inside of the trunk area that holds this whole glove box in place. This side is not too bad. We do have a little mark here we're gonna have to fill in. And then on the bottom, as you know, it's kind of torn where it is. So we're going to fix this by cut a portion of this out here and then glue it, the new piece, and same thing over here. We'll make a nice clean cut and we'll add a new piece. Now the new piece will be this hardboard here. I forgot where I got this from, but I'm not sure if it's from the back of a cabinet or a drawer. That's usually where these come from. And it's roughly about the same size or the same thickness as this. So let's see here. I'm going to take a measurement. It's looking at 0.117. If you can see that or not. And then this guy, we'll take a measurement so you can see it or not. 0.115, so it's not that far off. So let me start vacuuming this. It's starting to make some dust here. These two remainder pieces, I'm just gonna toss these. I'll hold on to them for right now just to get an idea, but I'm gonna toss these. They're crumbling apart anyway. Okay, for this I'm going to cut, but I'm going to use a fine tooth saw here. 24 teeth per inch, that's what that means, TPI. And I don't think you should use anything that's any smaller than that, because then you're just going to tear into the cardboard. So, by the way, I do want to mention that if you look at Mike FN, his YouTube channel, he shows you how to make these from scratch, actually. So that's a good channel to look at if you want to see it. I'll leave a link below and you can check out how he makes these glove boxes. But anyway, we're going to cut these out. We'll cut this portion out. So at this point, I'm going to use a razor blade to score it here. I'm going to score it straight across as best I can. Same thing here. Score it down a little bit. You can't really use a knife on these. It's just going to tear it up. Like a razor knife. I don't care how sharp the blade is. It's just going to tear it up. So if I wiggle it back and forth, it comes right off. As you can see. Same there. And now, take it back. We have a nice clean cut that we can place in here. So we'll do the same thing on this guy right here. Let's stand her up. Hopefully you can see it. Let's see. I'm going to go there. I'm going to score it. Go straight across here. I'm going to wiggle it back and forth. And now we have a nice cut area here. So now we much stronger. And same, I know this is loose, but it'll be stronger once we put the new piece in here. So let me vacuum this up. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna cut a small portion of this. I'm gonna stick it in here, and then I'm going to trace it out, and then I'll cut it true to this size here. Okay, so I trimmed these pieces here. This one will go in here, like so. See how that fits? Fits just like that. I may have to bend this down a little bit because as you can see here, this does have some kind of taper. So we'll bend that with pliers. Looks like it starts to bend in here. So we'll do the same thing here, bend it down. And then this guy will go inside of here. Okay, at this point, we're ready to glue in these pieces. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some glue back here. And then I'm gonna add glue in these cracks here. And then push it together. And then I'm gonna add this piece, glue this piece in. And then I'm gonna put some clamps on it. And that way it fits all together. So let's start that process. Now you can use wood glue. I mean, whatever is good for cardboard or wood, it's fine. I'm gonna use this guy here because I had it. So now I'm gonna take this, kind of glue back here. Let me grab the brush. I'm gonna brush it in. I really don't want any lumps, that kind of stuff. Kind of ridiculous to have lumps. I want to brush it smooth as possible. If it's too much, it gets too clumpy and it dries that way, you can always get sandpaper and smooth it out. You can always do that. I'm using wax paper so the glue doesn't stick to the wood when I put it on there. So the idea is to put this on the bottom here like that. Yeah, then I'm going to put another piece of wood on top of here. Then clamp it all together. I want to position this first, just like that. You guys can see it's gonna get a little messy here, which is okay because we're gonna brush it in. You want to get it into the cracks as best you can. Brush it in, get into the cracks best we can, and then we're gonna clamp it. Another piece of wood. We're gonna put this piece of wood on top. Make sure everything's aligned on the inside here. Put this piece of wood on top, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna sandwich these two with a clamp. Let me grab the clamp and pick this up. It's kind of hard to show you. I'm gonna use this small clamp here. I'm gonna clamp right in here. It looks kind of crazy, right? With all the wax paper and stuff. But you want a straight edge, like the wood, to clamp in between the two. And leave it like that for, I think, about maybe an hour. And we'll come back and check it. See how far it dries. See if we do this piece here. Okay, now we're gonna add this side here. We'll slide him in. Just check its fitment first. That's how that's gonna go. We're gonna later on trim this down once it dries. Same thing, we're gonna use a couple boards like this with some wax paper on it, and then we're gonna sandwich these two together and let the glue dry. So for now, while that's sitting in there, might as well just add the glue. Right, so I'm gonna glue in here. bracket. This would be for the inside. This piece would be for the inside. And then this piece would be for the outside. And then we'll clamp it. Okay. So let's review. We got a clamp here. Got a clamp here. I got a clamp over here. Looks like a basket case, right? That's crazy. A lot of times when these these glove boxes are in pieces, you have to do a section at a time. But in this case, there was just cracking and breaking, chipping, so no big deal. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. I know that was in your face, and I apologize. Right now we're clamping. We're gonna let it sit for a couple hours. Same thing over here. We'll let that sit for a couple hours. We'll take it apart and see how it looks. Okay, we're at a point we can start taking off these clamps here. Hopefully we'll see what happened. It's been a couple hours, maybe a little bit more. Not too bad. It's in there pretty good now. If you see like these little cracks here or little openings, they can be covered with epoxy, no problem. But the main thing is you want to be able to keep this in place. And then I'm going to shape this guy here, since it's not supposed to stick out like that. So I'll shape it with a Dremel. Okay, I'm going to use some sandpaper. I think this is 400 grit. I'm going to lightly sand in here. I'm going to sand this spot here. I'll sand out here, try to make things smooth as possible. Okay, now that I lightly sanded over the outside here, I just want to give the epoxy a good chance to adhere to it. And next thing I'll do, I'm going to shape this here. That way it has a nice smooth transition down to here. And I'll use the Dremel for that. Since I sand all this here, it's ready to go for resin. So I'm going to use epoxy resin to cover all this and to basically seal everything. That way, if any moisture or water gets inside of here, it will not damage it. So next step will be go over this with alcohol just to get all the dust off of it, and then we'll add the resin. So when I start brushing this in here, I may just sit it up like this, pour the resin on top here, and then kind of take the brush and go over everything. So that's my plan to do it. Okay, time to mix the two. Hopefully it won't overflow. Okay, we got it mixed. Now we're gonna take our brush. We're gonna start brushing the side of here. That's kind of hard for you guys to see, but I'm just brushing it in there. So I'll do this off camera. That way you're not watching me just brush things. It's kind of boring. I'm just going to brush the inside here. Okay, I finished adding the resin to the internal part. I did a little bit on the outside here, but as you can see, it's kind of nice and shiny. I might just put wax paper down and do the outside. I finished adding resin to the inside and the outside. It felt a little bit ambitious. So let's take a look. And it will take about 24 to 48 hours really to fully cure. Now I think that's what the directions said, but I think it might be for heavy, thick applications, and this one is not. I mean, you can see it's just I just brushed it on. It may be a 1/16 of an inch thick, if that. So I put it all the way around, and it's on the wax paper too. So it should be fine. But I'm gonna let it sit for a couple days, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, now that the two-part epoxy has dried, we're gonna take a look at it here. It's not as shiny here because this was very porous and it kind of soaked in, but it's very hard. It's in very hard, so it's a good thing. That way it doesn't absorb moisture and break away like it did before. You can see some cracks here. Not too concerned about that. We'll kind of smooth those out. On the bottom here, normally, I know it looks chaotic. Some of this is from the wax paper sticking on, but it comes off once I sand it. This is pretty hard. You can see on the inside here as well, off to the side. So a lot of this is going to be sanded. I'm going to sand it because I'm going to paint it later. So it's looking pretty good. It's pretty stout. So we're ready to go on this. So I'm going to sand it with some rough sandpaper. I think this is 100 grit. I'm going to rough it out, and then I'm going to smooth it up with 400 grit. So let me get started. Okay, I'm done with sanding. Sand all the way around. On the bottom, I got most of this is all flat. Most of it's flat. I'm not too concerned about it since it's going to be facing down. You'll be seeing a lot of it anyway. The rest of it came out good. So the next step is I'm going to clean. I'm going to use this super clean. I want to say thanks to Jessica for sending this to me. I'm going to clean in here. Remind you, this is all resin now, so if it gets wet, it's fine. It's not going to warp. It's not going to fall apart. The resin's deep in there. I put it in there pretty thick. Does a pretty good job. It's dirt now. Okay. Let it dry for a little bit, and we're ready to paint. Okay, it's finally painted. I used a textured type of paint. It's not just textured colored, but it also has a texture in it. You can feel the roughness here, which is good for a glove compartment. It held up pretty well. I had to put on several coats. It's not like a regular paint, but it came out pretty good. And that's basically it. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And if I haven't already told you, please have a good day.